If you're an Assassin's Creed fan, it's a great time to be alive. We got a trip back to Assassin's Creed 1 style stuff with Mirage, and there has recently been rumors that a Black Flag remaster is in the works. Yeah, you heard me right. In this video, we're going to tell you everything that we know about this remaster, from recent leaks to compatibility. So without further ado, let's take a look at what may as well become one of the most successful Ubisoft games of all time. So, what actually stirred up this talk about an Assassin's Creed Black Flag remaster? Well, it all transpired from an email. I know, exciting stuff, right? Jokes aside, the email suggested that Ubisoft's team in Singapore is currently working on Black Flag's redevelopment, along with the game's ocean technology and Skull and Bones, and we'll touch on that a little later on. This email did suggest that Black Flag is in its early stages, so there's basically no chance that it'll be released anytime soon. In fact, this leak made it pretty clear that the team in Singapore is very focused on Skull and Bones right now. Again, we'll go in depth on this in a moment. Now, it is definitely important that we take all this information with a grain of salt. Nothing has been made official by Ubisoft. In fact, when asked at a recent event, a spokesperson from Ubisoft straight up denied to answer any questions surrounding a Black Flag remake. And right now, Ubisoft is incredibly busy with other projects in the Assassin's Creed franchise. Mirage is set to release in October 2023, so there's a good chance that most of the company's resources are being allocated to that game rather than Black Flag Remaster. And what's more, other Assassin's Creed games have been officially confirmed, which means that even if a remaster is in the works, it will likely be a good few years before we get to see it released. Some fans have suggested that the Black Flag remaster will be released in between Mirage and the next flagship title. This would make sense because it would allow for Ubisoft to keep fans happy while it develops the next big title and make a whole bunch of money in the process. But again, this is all speculation right now, so I wouldn't want to get your hopes up about a remaster anytime soon. I think it's also worth mentioning that technically, Black Flag has already been given a direct sequel. At the start of 2023, Webtoon released a new series called Assassin's Creed Forgotten Temple. This show continues Edward's journey right where it left off in Black Flag, following his journey across the Southeast Asian seas where Edward attempts to find the pieces of Eden. Forgotten Temple isn't a bad series by any means, but it's just not the sequel that players were hoping for. When we hear the word sequel for a game, it usually means that we actually get to play, a game instead of watching just a show. The fact that Ubisoft went ahead with this kind of idea suggests that the company wasn't interested in creating a follow-up game or remaster. But on the other hand, the poor reception to the TV show may have just persuaded Ubisoft to go back and make the remaster that everyone's been hoping for. So to sum up, no one has any idea what's going on with Black Flag, and we'll probably see a Black Flag remaster at some point in time, but your guess on when is just as good as mine, and it's probably best for you not to get your hopes up once again. So let's start talking hypotheticals. Let's say that there is a remake in the works, albeit in the very distant future. There are a few things that every single player would love to see, so let's take a further look. Firstly, it would be great to see an overhaul of the naval battle mechanics. Ubisoft is clearly putting a lot of effort into revamping the way that the oceans look and function, as well as how the sea battle works, which can be evidenced by just how long it's taking for Skull and Bones to be released. These new mechanics do look pretty awesome, and it'd be great to see them in Black Flag Remaster. Another feature that won't go amiss in a Black Flag remaster would be a few more story missions. I think we can all agree that Edward Kenway's story is one of the most interesting and immersive in the Assassin's Creed franchise. The storyline is just so captivating, and to be able to learn a little bit more about the swashbuckling assassin would be a dream come true for most Assassin's Creed players. Something else that Ubisoft should tidy up with a remaster is the tailing missions. All of the missions in Black Flag are awesome, except the tailing missions, right? I mean, they're difficult, boring, extremely long, and very slow. These missions have long been the biggest criticism of Black Flag. So much so that Ubisoft actually changed the way that these missions work in later games. So getting an overhaul in these types of missions would be pretty sweet. Finally, the remaster should tidy up all the old glitches and update the graphics and character models. This is a pretty standard goal for a remaster, but it's especially important when working on a game as old as Black Flag. I mean, when you look back at some of Black Flag's assassinations, it's actually crazy to see how far graphics and character models have come. So throughout this video, there has been a bit of an elephant in a room, and I think it's finally time that we address it. I'm of course talking about Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones was in a way intended to be a remaster of Black Flag, in the sense that Ubisoft tried to take the best part of Black Flag, naval combat, and wrap it up in a standalone title. However, things didn't go exactly to plan, and to say that Skull and Bones has been a flop might just be an understatement of the year. So Skull and Bones is a massive project that Ubisoft has been working on for nearly a decade now. It's a sea-based game where you start as a low-life sea grunt, and you work your way up to the ranks to conquer the Indian Ocean and take out anyone who stands in your path. It was meant to be released in 2018, but it suffered delay after delay after delay. Because of these delays, leaks have revealed that Ubisoft isn't exactly taking it very easy on its employees. A recent email link showed that Singapore's studio management team is forcing every developer to work at the office rather than remotely. It's also providing each employee with breakfast and dinner, suggesting that employees are being forced to work round the clock to get this game out on time. I mean, talk about things being in shambles. Had Skull and Bones actually released when it was meant to, then it wouldn't have gotten as much hate as it's currently getting from the AC community, because it actually looks pretty fun. But because Ubisoft kept breaking its promises, fans are starting to lose patience and hype for Skull and Bones. I mean, this one title has had 6 delays already. Mirage is probably going to be released before it, and it only started development a few years ago. There's also another big problem with Skull and Bones acting as a remaster for Black Flag. It isn't going to focus on the story of Black Flag. What made Black Flag such a great game was the epic combat coupled with the story. Take the story element away, and we could be left with something similar to Sea of Thieves that leaves a lot to be desired. The fact that Skull and Bones has already been such a flop could actually be good news if you're a Black Flag fan. Now, hear me out, I know that sentence sounds crazy. Ubisoft has poured millions into developing new ocean textures and mechanics, and new naval combat mechanics as well. If they just stick with Skull and Bones, most of this work will be wasted. But if they decide to create a Black Flag remaster, this development could be recycled into a game that fans would actually want to play, thus allowing Ubisoft to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, giving the fans what they want and staying profitable. So is a remaster a smart move for Ubisoft? The best way to figure out if a game is likely to be released is to analyze whether or not it would be profitable for the company. And taking a look at all the evidence, a Black Flag remaster looks like a very profitable move for Ubisoft. Assassin's Creed 4 was one of the most successful games of the franchise, and we just have to take a look at the stats to see what I'm talking about. It's sold over 20 million copies since its release in 2013, has won the VGX award for the best action-adventure game, and has received an average rating of 9 out of 10 across game critique sites. A Black Flag remaster would allow Ubisoft to recreate this kind of revenue and appreciation in the future. What's more, previous Assassin's Creed remasters have proven to be very successful for Ubisoft in the past. For instance, the Ezio collection was received with open arms from the Assassin's Creed community, despite the fact that Ubisoft added literally nothing to the trilogy. Fans love the nostalgia they get from older games, and as long as it's compatible with new-gen consoles, most Assassin's Creed fans are going to pick the game up. And from a profit perspective, remasters really are a no-brainer. All Ubisoft really has to do is copy the code from the original game and make relatively minor upgrades. The new combat system has already been developed, meaning the margins for a remaster would be through the roof. Now, finally, let's take a look at the company's current goals. They are absolutely committed to the Assassin's Creed franchise right now. There are reportedly 11 new games lined up for the future, taking place in all settings from the Aztec Empire to ancient Japan and China. So it would make sense for at least one of these games to be a remaster. And with the Ezio trilogy already receiving a makeover, Black Flag is the obvious choice. So to wrap things up, everything is just a bit hazy right now. Nothing has been officially confirmed by Ubisoft, but all the arrows are pointing in the right direction, and it's likely that we will see a remaster of Black Flag someday. It probably won't be for a little while because Ubisoft has a lot going on right now. But after all this is cleared up, the tides will be open for a new Black Flag game. Pun intended. We'd love to get your perspective on the whole situation in the comments below, so let us know if you think we'll ever get a Black Flag remaster. If you enjoyed this video, why not check out our recent video where we decide who the most deadly assassin is? And trust me, the answer will shock you.